Hi, 7th graders, and here we are at Monday, November 16th. I'm sure you guys are as excited as me that Thanksgiving is just about 10 days away, and I'm sure you're excited about all those wonderful things that you will be eating. But until then, we have to contend with noun clauses. And you will be having your chapter test this week, and I can't remember, I think it's Thursday. And so that will be given out in class on Wednesday. So I will make sure to give you that, and I'll post it on Sycamore for anybody who might be absent. But we just had taken a look at noun clauses this week, and so I wanted to spend another day going through what noun clauses are, how to find them, and then more importantly, diagrams. So I'm spending most of the time diagramming on this video, and then you guys are doing another worksheet tomorrow. So on Wednesday, I would hope that you would come in with any questions that you might have, or if you don't understand something, so that we can go over it in class. But let's get started. Nothing really new here. Just a few reminders that a noun clause is going to be a dependent clause. And it can be used as a subject, direct object, or predicate nominative. Now, I have a friend that is going to be joining us in class, and as long as we are diagramming noun clauses or verbals, and his name is Pedestal Pete, and he'll be joining us on Wednesday. But remember, Pedestal Pete can travel anywhere on the main diagramming line. So he can sit in the subject, he can sit in the direct object, or he can sit in the predicate nominative. Now, on page 132 of your book, your green textbook that I know you love so much, there are some words that I want to go over with you, just so that you have them in front and center. You can make an index card with them, whatever. But if you look right in the middle of page 132, it says a noun clause may be used as subject, direct object, or predicate nominative. Here is a list of words that commonly introduce noun clauses. So you get a list there of words, and I would suggest putting them on some index cards and just having them so that you can pull out and say, okay, could this be a noun clause? Well, yes, it has this word. And so just review those words. It's stuff like how, why, that, whom, whose, and those are the words that sometimes we just forget that they could be starting a noun clause. But it is helpful if you have that just on your notes somewhere. Remember that our noun clauses, when they're diagrammed, are going to be on a pedestal. And then I want to review a little bit of the rules piece and talk about the starter words that you're going to see. Some of these up here, but they've been narrowed into other categories. So let's take a look at those. So with our starter words, the words that actually will start a noun clause. We didn't spend a whole lot of time on this the other day, but I do want to hang on this for just a few minutes. If you see the following 6 words, who, whom, what, whoever, whomever, whatever, you are probably, and these are pronouns, that's why it's got pronoun up here, you're probably going to see this in the subject direct object spot. So if you have these particular pronouns showing up in your clause, most likely you're going to end up subject direct object. Now, whose and which can also be an adjective. So remember that. How, when, whenever, why, where, wherever are standard adverb functions. So if you've never learned what an adverb does, it answers the question how, when, whenever, why, where, wherever. It also answers to what extent. So remember, when you see those pop up, it's probably going to be functioning in an adverb situation. And then some words are just merely introductory words, that, if, and whether, and those are going to go on the body of the pedestal. Remember that middle straight line that goes up and down. So I just wanted to go over these. Again, this would probably be something helpful to have in your notes. Now I want to spend some time with the diagramming. If you work all the way through this and bring it to class on Thursday, you will get 5 extra points on your test. So you will be having a test, and like I said, I think it's Thursday. And if you complete these diagrams that I'm doing, and they're out of your book, so they're nothing weird or strange that I've come up with, but if you complete these diagrams, and I'm going to give you the answers as we go, then you will get 5 extra points. I don't even know if there's 5 diagrams. I think there's only 4, but I'm giving you 5 points. So whatever God promises will surely be fulfilled. Now, one of the things that we want to figure out is the subject. Well, we would ask the question, what will be fulfilled? Well, whatever God promises. So we need all of these words to go on that diagramming line. Then here we have will surely be fulfilled. Now some of these are going to go in the verb slot. So I want you to hit pause, and I want you to diagram this, and then in a second I'll advance it and you can see if you got it right and make any corrections. So hit pause and we'll be back in just a second. Now if you're back, I assume you want the answer to this one, so here we go. Now, some of you may have put whatever in the subject slot of the noun clause, but be careful of that. Sound it all out. So if we ask the question, because we know that we have to put these 3 words on the pedestal. And so if we put whatever in the subject spot and then say it out loud, it should tell us whether we're on track or not. Whatever promises God. Whatever promises? Well, whatever can't really promise anything. It's not a person. So we have to go back and rearrange. So we're going to put God on there and try that. God promises. And then we still have to figure out what to do with whatever. And in this case, we can answer the what question. God promises what? God promises whatever. And so this is the correct formation for the pedestal piece. Then it sits in the subject spot. So right here's the subject spot. And will be fulfilled. All 3 of those, will and be, are helping, and fulfilled is your verb. If you did put surely, it should be put on a diagonal under there. All right, so that's number 1. Hopefully you got that one right. Now let's move to the next one. Worshiping the Lord must include doing His will. Okay, so again, you're going to have a diagram spot or diagram, a pedestal in your diagram. So you have to figure out where it's going to go on the line, and you need to figure out the verb. So I'll help you figure out the verb. Worshiping the Lord must include doing His will. Well, it's hard to ask a question, and so we need to look for action verbs. Well, we have doing, include, must is always a help, or it's usually a helping verb. So we have to answer the question, is doing a verb or is it a gerund? Well, if you're on your thinking cap days here, you'll realize this is a gerund. Must include is our verb. So I want you to see if you can get this noun clause into your diagramming line in the right place. And hit pause, take a minute to think about it, and then we'll come back. Okay, if you're back, then you're ready for this answer. Well, since I pointed out that this was a gerund right here, you should have been thinking, oh, maybe I have 2 diagramming lines, and that would be correct. So we have 2 diagrams, worshiping the Lord. There's your first ing. Here's our second ing. So worshiping what? Worshiping Lord. And then the word the. Doing his will, doing what? Doing will. And down here's our modifier. So we actually have a pedestal Pete and his brother pedestal Paul is joining us. And with the verb must include right in between. Okay, let's go to the next one. The Apostle Paul admitted that he was not perfect. Oh, wait a minute. Let me go back here. I want to point something out that is different from, let me point out in our diagramming practice from the first one, notice our line is flat. This is just noun clause, pedestal Pete, his arms are flat. But when we come to the ones with the verbals in here, notice he's waving. When he waves, that means we have verbal. So remember, waving, action, verbal, well, it used to be a verb. And so that's why the diagonal, why it pushes up diagonal there. So if you have a gerund or infinitive, he's going to wave at you. If you don't, and it's just a noun clause, it lies flat. All right, so let's go back now to the one that we were looking at. Sorry, I forgot to point that out. So in this one, we don't have any apparent verbals, so I don't think we're going to have to worry about it. It's going to be a flat line. But we have to find both clauses. So we have the Apostle Paul admitted, so admitted is a verb, that he was not perfect. Well, we have was imperfect. So there's your two clauses. Now see if you can put them in the correct diagramming lines. And when you have finished, then hit come off of the pause and we'll check it to see if it's correct. All right, here we go for the next one. And we have here a rather complicated looking diagram, but Paul is our subject. But remember, we have two things here identifying him. So apostle is the subject, Paul is the appositive. Do you remember those? It just provides kind of an extra word for our subject. Then admitted, we already talked about that, so this is our main clause. But then here's pedestal Pete. What did he admit? He was perfect. With the not, remember that's an adverb, can't go up on this main line, and nowhere else to put the word that, so we're going to put it on his body. Notice the line is straight. Okay, let's do the last one. And to wait patiently often becomes quite difficult. And so in this one, again, you should recognize that, oh, I might have something here that is an infinitive. And so we might need to do something with that. So for this one, I'm going to let you go on your own and see what you come up with. And so hit pause, try to diagram it, and then when you're finished, come back. So if you're back, I assume you're ready for the answer. So here we go. We have here to wait patiently. So if you put this up here as an infinitive, remember almost all the time, if the words at the beginning of the sentence are at the beginning of the sentence, they're probably going to be the subject. So hopefully you put pedestal Pete in the subject spot. But here it's an infinitive. To wait, and then how? ly adverbs are always going to drop down underneath. And then we have becomes difficult. And this is going to be the backslash because this is a boring linking verb. Okay, so remember, if you worked through each of these diagrams, did them on your own, I want to see that you did them on your own and then that you made corrections. So don't redo it and turn it in like a final draft. Show me where you were missing so that I know what we need to work on a little bit. So we'll go over this a little bit in class on Wednesday. But remember, if you turn this in, you get 5 extra credit points on your test. So circle any that you had difficulties with, bring them to class on Wednesday, and hopefully this little bit of extra practice is going to help you on the test, which is Thursday, so be studying. You may use some index cards to put examples and definitions on, and you may use those on the test, but it is closed book otherwise. So I will see you on Wednesday.